Welcome back to Spice Guys TCG. I'm Sormil, joined here with Rex. We're trying to get back into a more consistent video schedule now that Rex is finally done moving, and we're starting it off with this, different type of video than usual. It's a history of Enel's evolving deck list because the list has been changing genuinely like every single day for like the past month and a half.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of, it's really fun and exciting. It's also a little stressful because I know we all have our store champs coming up. So we're here to help you prepare for what we think is the best picks and to show you like the full history. So to start off, we have our original video, and this was our theory crafting in conjunction with the information we had at the time from Japan.
Yeah, this was like before I think the deck and stuff came out in Japan. Like this was probably like their pre-release time period maybe. But I mean, some interesting things to call out here is that we had Gamma Knife here, which if you're familiar with more modern NL lists, that is like in all of them. You can see too many one drops here, like the one cost blocker as a 4 of. That sounds crazy. And you see 8 6 cost NLs, which everyone was building the deck as like, oh, you need to play NL every turn after your third turn. Like you need to see them, so you have to run 8.
Mm-hmm. We also interestingly had Sanji but no pudding to search it. We just had it because it was a cheap blocker.
Also, only 2 Lightning Dragon also seems crazy because that card is broken.
That card is broken. But let's see. Now we have the version 0. So these are like the first list that started coming out. So you're going to notice a couple of things. One, I don't believe our original list had the Vary. No, so they had Vary to help go around all of the freeze events. In addition, they actually added the pudding and did not have the Sanjis anymore.
Yeah, and you know what? I think they had Vary, but I think it was just because it's a 2K that's cyclable. I don't think it was for the freeze, because at this time, green decks were not being played yet, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Also interesting how we're slowly but surely cutting down on the number of 1-drops, and the most people don't really like the blocker because the blocker, especially in the mirror, is such a victim to Thor or Mamaragan or a bunch of other things, or even this somehow.
Yeah, but we also see Gadatsu being lowered. It seems like maybe this card is not as good as the other 1-drops.
Yeah, correct. It seems that you're going to see the rest in the other deck lists, but it seems that everyone's in agreement that we need 4 Ohm and I guess everything else changes. Some of them don't have Satori, but I believe everyone agrees that you must have 4 Ohm.
Ohm 100%. That card is broken.
Which makes sense because if you don't know what Ohm does, it is a -1k when attacking. So this allows for Enel, which is an aggro deck that has a hand that always replenishes itself, to be able to win board as well.
Yeah, and like it's very good for hitting numbers against like, oh, if your opponent plays a 6k, well, if you reduce it to a 5k, now you can Mamaragan it and swing into it with your other bodies, which is very nice. Like it's basically, I've seen it described as 4-cost Kuzan in like Lucci or Black Yellow Luffy, because on play, you're drawing a card and then it serves as a reducer.
Mm-hmm. Additionally, too, you could also use it to turn anything into a 6k power or less, and then you could Lightning Dragon it if you can't even kill it.
Turn a very good combo against like Sky Luffy is you swing your Ohm and then you freeze their Rush Luffy with this, because the freeze happens before they can make the Luffy bigger with with the effect of the Luffy.
Correct. It's a good way to get rid of any body that is like close to impossible to get rid of on board, or like the Sky Luffy, something that like
5-cost Nami and UI Nami also.
Yeah, 5-cost Nami is definitely one too. And yeah, let's go on to the next rendition. The next rendition, I believe the previous one, did not have the dog. We started to get the combo of putting Sanji going, and we're adding some of this to mainly combat the yellow.
Yeah, basically, like, I mean, we got to understand that in Eastern, like, meta, we have the combination of Borsalino Rayquaza. It's not banned there. Like, so it's legal. So you need more. These chump blockers are very helpful against those yellow decks, and you're not really worried about seeing as many mirrors as we see here. And I mean, a key note here is Gamma Knife. This is like, I think the first like time seeing Gamma Knife at like a big tournament in the deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what is now, in my opinion, a staple, used to be very, very niche, but you'll see that more later on.
Yeah, but dog being added makes a lot of sense also because double attack, you kind of need that to get through these decks that are just healing like 10 times a game.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying, and the dog helps a lot. And also, we still have some of the events too, so that's also important to note. So here we have the next version, and now this is a very pivotal part because this is a build that I definitely think that even though it's kind of phasing out, is definitely still has a lot of merit. And this is the Porsche variant.
Yeah. Like I can see Porsche coming back if the meta changes and somehow, Nami gets pushed out or something. Because this card is very strong and very explosive to play this into Holly.
Yes, it's so especially good in the mirror still, even with the new version, because the mirror is very good at dealing with one body a turn. Whereas if you
Yeah.
Porsche Holly, and if you're lucky enough to do two Porsche Holly, then that's kind of it puts a lot of pressure on your opponent.
Yeah, and we see they also have Foxy 2K, which is nice because it's a natural 2K. You kind of need more of those if you're relying on these lower bodies and you want to actually protect your Porsche or your dog. You want to have a natural 2K to be able to counter some, weird swings. Because otherwise, you're going to be kind of giving up like two 1Ks to counter a 6K at your porch.
But yeah, as we said though, the main detriment of this build is that it is worse into Nami. You don't have what you're gonna see later on is we have some key cards for 4 Dawn that help with the Nami matchup. Whereas
Yeah.
Porsche is mainly really good into 5K leaders.
Also, a note about Divine Departure here. I know some people thought it was going to be banned actually because they thought it was the strongest card in this deck. Because, frankly, it is pretty strong to combo in this deck because you can reduce a 12k to 4,000 and then just Mamaragan it and kill it. Or even like, Eldor it if you have an Ohm to make it a 3k. Or, you can just basically remove anything with Divine Departure and other cards. Which is funny because, I think Gamma Knife plays into this strategy also, and we'll see it come back more into the meta.
Yeah, the thing with Gamma Knife is that although this minus is stronger, you're able to still develop another body, and that's where a lot of like high level play can be put into place because you can
Yeah.
just combo the Gamma Knife with Ohms and Kittens, and then you could turn it into a Divine Departure. But it's just obviously
Yeah.
much harder than just using like one card.
Yeah. But yeah, the trade-off is that you're using a whole turn and not developing really any big bodies.
Yeah, precisely. So next we have version 3. So this one you said you saw mainly in Japan to protect the dog, right?
Yeah, basically, like, there's nothing too special. It just seems like, oh, maybe they're seeing now Yellow List are running like Zeus and other cards to remove Dog, and you kind of rely on Dog for these matchups. So I think, yeah, we're like, okay, we run Nola now just to protect our dog. That's
Yep.
the only reason I can see for why this was played.
Yep, not much to say about this one. Next, we have an interesting Porsche version where we're like, dog is really good. Let's have another 3-cost target in heat. So I'll read this one aloud because this is a very niche one. Your turn once per turn. When a Dawn card on your field is returned to your Dawn deck, this character gains plus 2k until the start of your next turn. So, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, it's basically a really easy 6k body that you just play off Porsche. So it's also just another like explosive Porsche like option when you don't hit dog.
Yep. The only bad thing is that your deck has no way to search dog. So you either have to just raw draw into it using your first turns, typically dropping your 1 cost. Also, let's see, is
Yeah.
there anything else to note about the 1 cost? No, it seems like it's pretty much different numbers of these 3 and sometimes adding and putting. It seems to be
Yeah.
what the consensus was at this
Seems like they really like Shura though, because I guess it is very good in the mirrors, and I guess decks that are removing your other 1 cost, Shura does come in clutch.
Yeah, he allows you to use your leader effect, especially too when you're playing like Porsche something. You still have some more Dawn, so you could still play. If you have no board at all, you could play Porsche a guy, play Shura, and now you have something to use your leader effect on.
Yep.
So next we got an interesting addition. We have our good friend Robbie, who is in our playtesting group. And you said you want to read this, right?
Yeah, most playtest groups gatekeep, not mine. This deck has a 100% win rate in our internal testing. Please proceed with caution. This deck is high octane. Thinking outside of the box is the only way you can escape mediocrity. Behold, Penel. So he's like parodying, those LinkedIn like posts that like fucking people do, and it's funny because I mean this looks really shit. I mean it is also like my first time really seeing a list with not 6 cost Enels. We have 4 Enels, and then we have Sanji Pudding as a top end, and you have Gum Gum Lightning and Gamma Knife, so very removal oriented. I will say I tested Lucy into this list because I was trying to play Lucy that time, and this list slams Lucy because you just lose your Cavendishes instantly, you lose your Sabos instantly. Like it was terrible, abysmal matchup, and I mean, we'll get into more removal in L soon.
Yeah, but like this build definitely also incentivizes you to at least so you can keep your Cavendish. Like someone was playing out the Leo early because they knew that if they play the Cavendish without protection, that shit's gone.
Yeah, and then they just like it's Mama Ragon, and then they swing into it, and then they remove the Cavendish,
Yeah.
and it also just hurts because you went down to 2K as well.
Mm-hmm. But like you said, it was really notable too that even though we made this as like kind of a joke, it did have some innovation by showing that you should lean a little bit more to removal, and that maybe you don't need 8 Ls.
Yeah.
Which leads us to, I believe this is the list that won a Japanese. I don't know what it was.
Yes, this is. I don't know if it was Japanese. I think Southeast Asia maybe, but I believe it was Sky TCG who brought the list to life and basically made a more realistic version of it that's like not a troll, because we had like Law Searcher and the other Nami Searcher in that list, but this one just has like the regular one drops, but it does have a focus on this removal. Like it has Gamma Knives and Lightnings.
Mm-hmm. And I even consider this build too, because the thing with Sanji Pudding is it's your favorite. It is card neutral when you play it, as long as you're equal to or less than your opponents, and it lets you be able to do Sanji Pudding, then you minus, and then you bring back the Dawn, and then you play Gum Gum Lightning, and then you minus, and then you bring back the Dawn from Sanji Pudding. So you're able to use, for example, the double Dawn if you're playing in that format, or just your normal Dawn. You get to use it like 3 times, I believe.
Yeah, no, it's definitely was interesting, and I'm sure people probably did test Sanji Pudding for Red Bull Double Dawn event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely a fun innovation, but I guess the big lack is that your 7K body, after you play it and you hit those cool combos, it just doesn't have enough oomph to it. Maybe
it gets removed. Like
yeah, it just gets removed.
Unlike your other big body Enel, this body is vulnerable and will die.
Additionally to you, yeah, since we're a 5 cost, we're susceptible to a lot of removal, and honestly a lot of the same removal that people run for your dog. So instead of killing your dog, they just go, okay,
yeah,
use
they
the
just drop a Zeus
removal.
Okay.
Yeah, same cheap removal, and then they just get rid of your whole turn, and you did a cool combo, and now you don't have any board.
Yeah.
Yep. So how about we play, instead of a 5 cost, we play a, what is this, 11 cost? Yeah, 9 cost. Yeah, I can't count. So the next rendition of the build has this Reiju, which is so good on so many different levels. One of them is that it is an effective blocker and attacker into Nami. Another
7K.
7K. Another one is that it's a 4-Dawn turn, so you can play Reiju plus Gamma Knife. Another one is that it has such a high cost that it isn't easily susceptible to being electrical Lunad. So it's so good. It's so good.
It's like it cooks green, and it is very good against Nami. You're free blocking with it a lot of times as well, and I mean some games, some matchups, you're like able to just play this on your second turn even, because you're running Pudding. Like you can play Pudding turn 1 and then turn 2 on your 3 Dawn because you didn't minus. You can leader effect and just still up like a 4-drop like Reiju, and that is very powerful for certain matchups.
Mm-hmm.
And if you cycle in events too, like next turn, this can probably swing for 7K base.
Yep, it's a very, very strong card, and especially in our decks, we get to hit 4 events in our trash in 1 turn. so it's not a problem at all.
Yeah, yeah. We are cycling. Always be cycling.
Always be cycling. And then also,
ABC.
you'll notice the return of the blocker now. So what we learned is that although this card,
Well, it's not the return, it's more the reduction because there was technically still on like 8 Enels. This is like your list where you're seeing them go down and go down to 6 instead of 8. But
Yeah.
we're seeing like the weaknesses of blocker Enel happening here.
yeah. So next we have this list, which is the introduction of another face that's getting more and more familiar, Senior Pink.
Very good card. Essentially a 4 cost 6k because it's a 5 cost, but it restands a Dawn on play and grabs an event from trash. So, I mean, not in this list because this list does not have any 2 cost events, but if you're running Gamma Knife or Lightning, you could grab those back and then use it in the same turn. But something with this specific list you could do is place in your pink, grab one of your Lightnings or Mamaragons from trash, then restand the Dawn, then leader effect, get back one as active, play Porsche into dog. You can triple develop, which is honestly enough for some matchups.
Yeah, that's pretty frightening, especially in the mirror. I don't know what I'd do if my opponent just created a full board from nowhere.
Especially if they contested all your 1-drops. Like, I feel like you're cooked there. You gotta just, like, somehow freeze their board and swing face.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep. So this version seems quite strong. And as you saw, I believe this won. And next we have the Red Bull Double Dawn list. And this list was piloted by our friend Cameron and a bunch of other of the top people.
Cameron and then
Zoru.
Alex.
And this is just a little bit of everything build. They have a pink.
Yeah.
And they also, I should note, is a main line introduction to Frankie. So this is another thing that you can play on 4 Dawn to combo with a Gamma Knife. But if you don't need Reiju's big body and you just need a blocker or a body, that's card neutral. Because that's the only downside.
Card neutral, and your pitch and bricks also. Like, you can pitch a brick and really get really defensive with this Frankie. Game saving, honestly, some matchups. And like as we said with earlier, the Reiju play, like, you could do pudding turn 1, then turn 2, ramp with leader, and then play Frankie. It's very powerful against certain decks.
And what I like too about this is a small thing, is there 3-1 splits between pudding and Shura.
Yeah.
I really like the ability to just have one to like threaten, but not really overcommitting, because pudding gets you what you would like, which is like a specific card selection instead of just blind.
You want specific cards so you can, better do your removal plays.
And as you said earlier too, if he wants to play pudding in a 4-drop, then pudding doesn't Dawn minus you, so you could still do that on your second turn.
Very powerful. And yeah, I mean, this definitely like heavy blocker focus here, like very teched for Double Dawn, like the extra pressure, like, Frankie, Reiju, blocker, and I'll probably tanking a lot of hits.
Yeah, and I literally just used this list yesterday to get a store champ. So still also good and not Double Dawn. The only thing I changed was instead of Sanji, I put the Very event. Very is this one.
Yeah, play around the Peronas, hitting your Enels.
Yep. But honestly, I could see doing more of like a 2-1 split or something like that. But yeah, this list is still very, very viable, not in Double Dawn format, obviously.
Yeah. And, there are lists nowadays that are also like, running no dog. That is a development that we saw in Lily Regional. And like, I mean, the list is just keeps changing. Like, by the time this video is uploaded, like, honestly, the deck might look totally different. I mean, I think we have a good core though, so like, maybe not too many different tech cards. I feel like everything's been explored, but it's now just going to be like focusing on the ideal ratios.
Yeah, correct. And if the meta continues to shift to, that's another thing that you can always keep teching your deck, but you always are like going towards something and away from another.
Like, okay, if your locals is like, oh, you have like 10 people at your locals to play UI Nami, yeah, legit run like 3 more blocker NLs or 2 more blocker NLs, like run more of that, like,
Yep. That's like kind of the beauty of Enel, is that you have so much aggro, but you also have so much draw and card selection that that's why the stats show that it's such a good deck, because if you play it well and you see what you need, you can beat any deck.
Yeah, if decks can win with dog, if the decks can win with no dog, if decks can win with blocker and all, win with no blocker and all, like this deck is just powerful with a good pilot.
Yep. And yeah, I think that is all we have for today's video. I hope you guys like this new style. Hopefully we'll be back in the saddle and get more videos uploaded consistently. And have a great day, everyone. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz.
Peace.
Peace.